Today we're going to talk about Workbook 4A, Exercise 3. In the textbook, this is on pages 10 and 11. We're continuing to talk about numbers into the 10,000s. And if you've been with Singapore Math Live and used my support in the past, you'll recognize this way I write numbers. And that is just to represent the fact that tens are, a full 10 is a square with a check mark inside. It means it's a full 10. Hundreds are a circle, similar check mark. When I want to represent 1,000, I use a triangle. When I want to represent 10,000s, this is a new one, we're going to use a rhombus or a diamond. When I want to represent a 1, I put a dot. In this particular number, we don't have anything in the ones group. But when I draw numbers out, I'll use this way of showing it just to make it clear for you. The question is, the first thing on page 10, what number is represented by this chart? And the answer to that is that there are 3 in the 10,000s place. There are 5 thousands, 200, 6 tens, 0 ones. So that picture and the one in the book would represent the number 35,260. The next question is, what is the digit in the hundreds place? Well, in the hundreds place, we see that there are 2 hundreds, and that's what that number 2 means there. So 2 is the digit in the hundreds place. What about the digit in the 10,000s place? This is the 10,000 place, and the number 3 is written because there are 3 of those. And so we have a 3 is the digit in the 10,000s place. If you write the value of each digit, of course 0 has a value of 0. The digit 6 has a value of 60. The digit 2 has a value of 200. It represents the fact that there are 200 in the number. The digit 5 is in the thousands place, so it represents the number 5,000. And the number 3 is in the 10,000s place, so it represents the number 30,000. Again, this is not going to be brand new for you, I know, but it's good to practice and remember how to think about these numbers. On number 7, it tells us that in a stadium watching a soccer game, we have 26,345 people. It says to use a set of number discs to represent that number. If you want to represent it like I have been doing, then you have 2 10,000s, 6 thousands, 3 hundreds, 4 tens, and 5 ones. So that's a great way to think about the number. And then there's a couple of questions. 26,345 is how many more than 26,000? Well, the 26,000s match. The difference in the numbers is 345. 26,345 is 345 more than 26,000. Next question, 26,345 is how many more than 6,345? Well, if you look at this as 6,345, here's the 6,345. How many more is this number? It's 20,000 more. If you're thinking about it using place values, it's a very obvious answer, and it's just good to think about numbers in that way. Going on to page 11, it draws a number line. Again, in previous years of Singapore Math, I've talked about a line of numbers. We also call that a number line. And on this number line, it doesn't show us from 0 up, but it starts at the number 5,000. It actually has one line before 5,000. And then we see where 5,500 or 5,500, we sometimes call it, is. Then we see where 6,000 or 6,000 is. And there are lines in between. What we have to do is figure out, okay, if I take this section from 5,000 to 5,500 and I break it down into 5 even jumps, there are 5 steps there, how much is each step worth? And because it's 5 steps in 500, there are 5 steps between them. By step, I mean there's one, there's a second one, there's the third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one. Notice there are 4 lines, but there are 5 steps, and that represents a jump of 500 units from 5,000 to 5,500. That tells us that one step is going to be 100 units. So if this first one is 5,000, and then I have one step up for letter A, what that tells me is that A is going to be the number 5,100. And then if that's 5,100, there's 200, there's 300. The letter B is 5,300. And of course, 5,400, 5,500, that works. We can tell for sure that each step is exactly 100 from the last number. So 5,500, 5,600, 5,700, 5,800, 5,900. Of course, this is 6,000, 6,100, 6,200, 6,300, 6,400. You can just count your way all the way up to the values in that picture. Now in letter B, we go from 50,000 to 55,000, and we also have 5 steps. So if 5 steps is now equal to 5,000, then you can tell that one step is going to be equal to 1,000. So if this heavy line is 50,000, if I go back 1,000, then the value for the letter P is going to be not 50,000, but 49,000. And then if I go ahead 2 jumps from 50 to 51 to 52, Q is 52,000. 53, 54,000 for letter R. Of course, this is 55. We knew that. That works. That's good. It's good to check and make sure. 55,000, 56,000, 57,000, 58,000. And then notice I could just count also by instance by thousands. This is 58,000. This is 59, 60, 61,000. And so when you're counting these, notice that you can go by the just count all the way up from the beginning. You could look at 60,000 and say 1 more is 61,000 and 2 less is 58,000. So there's a couple of ways you could do it. It's not certainly not just a one way to get the answer, but either of those is of course fine. Good idea to think about it in terms of steps and how many there are. All right, number 9 wants to talk about which number is smaller, 56,700 or 75,600. If you think of this as being 5 10,000s and this is 7 10,000s, then really quickly we can find that the smaller one is the one that has 5 10,000s. I don't care what else it has. And notice, by the way, that both of these numbers have a 5, a 6, a 7, and 2 zeros. But if you start with 5 10,000s, you're definitely going to be smaller than any number that starts with 7 10,000s. The next question is which one is greater? Notice that both of them start with 32 thousands. Then this number has 6 hundreds and this number has 4 hundreds. Regardless of what comes next, 600 is going to be greater than 400 So we're for sure convinced that 32,645 is greater than 32,498. And that is all you need to do to know to be ready to work exercise 3.